me, Matthew Griffin, better known as a fanatical futurist. I hope you are all well. So, what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be talking about photosynthesizing hamsters. Yes, as well as other things. That's it. So we're going to be having a look at the future of science and technology news and all that kind of stuff. So I always say science fiction is already science fact. So sci-fi is dead. Now, firstly, thank you for everyone who's actually been subscribing to the two YouTube channels, the 311 Institute channel and the Fanatical Futurist channel. YouTube have been sending me goodies, and we're now on our way to 1 million subs. So the 311 Institute channel has 120,000 subscribers. Basically, the Fanatical Futurist channel basically is now pushing its way over 600,000. So that's now on track basically for 1 million. However, most importantly, this year alone, just on the Fanatical Futurist channel, we have democratized access to the future for over 10 million people. When we actually have a look at the books, so yeah, I also write books. I've got 15 books. Don't worry, I'm not going to sell you a book. I'm not going to ask you to pay for a book because they're all free. If you go to the 311institute.com website, you can download these monsters for free. You'll see this one, this is the Trends Codex. I mean, this is 400 pages long. If you are a want-to-be founder, want-to-be entrepreneur, basically, then absolutely, look, I'm getting it all wonky. This is the Exponential Enterprises Codex, basically. So this is also a monster. If you, like me, are an absolute idiot and you have no idea where to start when it comes to starting a business, growing a business, scaling a business, let alone going global, which I am now global as a company, that is the book for you. It has a literal A to Z. It lets you go from a blank sheet, a blank post-it note, to a fully launched disruptive company. And then, of course, basically we have the pièce de la résistance. The US government just described this as the tech Bible of the 2020s. It's nice that they finally get that kind of quote going now that we're starting to head into the back end of the decade. And this particular sort of book, you might enjoy this one. Let's have a look. So this details over 300 emerging technologies up to around 2,000 years out. Yes, look up stellar engines and Dyson spheres and everything else. But to give you a little bit of a taster, here we go. What have we got? Here we go. What have we got here? Labs on chips. So as you can see, all of these books have been designed with you in mind. If you want to very quickly understand what is a trend, what is a technology, why is it important, what does it impact, who cares, why care, etc., etc., download the books for free. And because I'm giving all this stuff away for free, I am not a best-selling author. So boo-hoo me. Anyway, talking about giving stuff away for free. Now let's go down. I just did a blog, video blog on these 12 pieces of news. So now we're going to go down here. So this is the next one. Okay, so I look at the future of over 600 emerging technologies, 350 megatrends, basically every sector, every line of business. So when we're having a look at the news, I kind of gather it from all over the place, literally all over the world, bring it back, and it does admittedly end up being a little bit of a kludge. But you can go into each of these individual news articles that I've written. So this is the fanaticalfuturist.com website. And you'll see down at the bottom, you've got these tags. So if this mentioned artificial intelligence, you could click, the artificial intelligence tag, and we'll connect this. We'll click the central bank digital currencies tab, and you can see everything going. Well, you can see everything on that particular topic or thing that you care about, all nicely laid out. So anyway, that's behind the scenes of the blog. Now, so taking a breather. On the 10th of December, the Bank of England decided that they were going to help people tokenize transactions. So we've seen the tokenization of gold, we've seen the tokenization of uranium and all that kind of stuff. However, as we start using Web3, so sort of blockchain, crypto, those kinds of groups of technologies, to tokenize different physical, digital, and virtual assets, the Bank of England very much wants those assets to be backed by central bank currencies. Because there is the risk that as a central bank, you can somehow see someone tokenize an asset, um, and it can be anything. I mean, it could literally be the photosynthesizing hamster. You tokenize the hamster and then you go and sell fractional shares in it, for example. But people then back that hamster with Bitcoin or Max cryptocurrency or the Gotius Maximus cryptocurrency, which is a mad story. And central banks don't really like that because they like having some level of control and they like being able to, shall we say, modify the economy and manipulate the economy for their own, yeah, their own gains, to keep inflation in check, etc., etc. So the Bank of England wants tokenized assets to increasingly be backed by central bank pounds, shillings, and pence in the UK's case. Now we've got Northrop Grumman. So Northrop Grumman is now starting to look at sensor fusion like technologies to try to eliminate the need for AWACS planes. So AWACS planes, as most people will know, will go into a war environment and they will hoover up all of the different signals, process them, and then they will send all of that processed information to battlefield information systems, and people on the battlefront basically will do whatever they want to do. Northrop is increasingly saying, well, look, when we have a look at distributed sensing systems, why do we need an AWACS now? Why can't we just start using, satellite systems combined with land systems and everything else? So we could very soon, over the next decade, be starting to wave bye-bye to the rather iconic AWACS system. We've got the United Kingdom has been developing what we call quantum compasses. So one of the biggest problems that civil aviation is facing, let alone military, is GPS jamming and GPS spoofing. So a little while ago, it looks like the Russians jammed and spoofed GPS signals in the Mediterranean, and we saw 32 cargo ships being registered at an airport. So when you had a look at where these 32 cargo ships were, like on Google Maps, they were at an airport because Russia had been doing GPS spoofing. So increasingly, civilian transport, but also military transportation, is in GPS denied zones. So one of the ways that we try to get around this is either by using software, basically to identify landmarks and so on and so forth. But in the UK, basically we've been using quantum sensors, which are 10 million times more sensitive than any traditional sensor, to help submarines and aircraft identify where they are without the need for a GPS satellite system. So that actually solves a very real world military problem, but also very real world civilian aviation problem. Now, one of the things I've been talking about really for about the past 8-9 years is this concept of evolving artificial intelligences. So we're here now. So there have been quite a lot of instances where some of the latest artificial intelligence models have just spontaneously learned how to do new things. So an example of this is back in the day, OpenAI's sort of pre-chat GPT model spontaneously learned maths. Meta's AIs learned to code. Google's AIs learned a new language, created a new language, and then encrypted their communications. So for quite a long time, artificial intelligence researchers have been suggesting that we are no longer really inventing AI. We are simply discovering what it can do. And I kind of agree with them. Basically, when you have a look at the latest experiments and research into some of the latest artificial intelligence models, it does appear that we are very, very much discovering what AI is up to. However, what they found here is this is a University of Oxford study. It turns out that AIs don't spontaneously learn new things. Yeah, it's not like an overnight thing. What seems to happen is we will give artificial intelligences a training set, and they will go off and they'll learn information from that training set, and they'll form neural networks, neural pathways. Um, but when you start getting to a critical mass, if you ask the AI, "Do you know maths on Monday?" We'll say no. But as the number of neural connections increases, a little bit like in the human brain, the chances that these neural networks will interact with other parts of the neural network rather spontaneously increases. So all of a sudden, a dormant part of a neural network might start, for whatever reason, interacting with another part of the neural network and suddenly learn something new. So this is where this is an emerging field really to do with explainable artificial intelligence, where we're trying to understand why do AIs behave in the way that they do, and then how do we predict that? How do we protect ourselves against it and all that kind of stuff? So China, I must admit, getting rather fed up of reading news stories basically in China, basically where you say, the West is here and China is 1 to 2 generations ahead already. I mean, come on. When we have a look at Europe, when we have a look at the US innovation engines, what the hell are we doing? So China has just launched their first hypergravity facility. Now, this beats the US Army's hypergravity facility, which only goes up to 1200 G. The hypergravity facility in China goes up to 1900 G. Now, if you're asking why you want to simulate hypergravity, if you're doing deep Earth exploration and mining and drilling and all that kind of stuff, anywhere where you have huge amounts of pressure, bottoms of the oceans, that kind of stuff, that's where you want to be able to simulate it. So China again has massively leapfrogged America in terms of hypergravity simulation facilities. And there are civilian and military applications for that. So, for example, I said you can go into all these different news stories. This is actually the this is actually the hypergravity facility here. So you click on that, you can see some more information on it, if you like that sort of thing. We've got the Atlas of Cells. So we're here now. The Atlas of Cells was a project I first talked about 5 years ago, where organizations like Google and a lot of American and UK universities had come together to try to create a Google Maps for the human body. So the human body typically seems to be made up of about 1,000 different cells. They actually discovered 20 new kinds of cell during this particular piece of research. And the fundamental idea behind the Atlas of Cells is we're trying to create a baseline for what a good, healthy human body looks like. So from a predictive healthcare perspective, the idea again is that if by using instrumentation and wearable technologies, etc., we can see your body deviating from that baseline, then we know that something is up. And then we can start doing diagnosis, monitoring, and everything else. So, yeah, we're trying to establish what does good look like, and then any deviation from good, that's where we can alert people and say, go off and, see a doctor or whatever it happens to be. Now, this is a fun one, but I'm going to go over here. So the United States Pentagon, fearing that China's military is going to increasingly outpace and overmatch them, has just launched version 2 of its drone replicator program. So the original US Pentagon drone replicator program was very much orientated towards trying to on the one hand, create miniaturized drones that the United States could like make 1 million of in a blink of an eye, very quickly. So, however, the Replicator 2 program is much more focused on anti-drone technologies, and it's just getting started. So, again, and this is the US trying to play catch up to China in many, many respects. At least they're trying. So then we've got Huawei. So Huawei have just launched their own version of the Google Play Stores called Harmony OS. I actually met the Huawei CTO of what they call the CRI unit, which is the smartphones unit, at the Institute of Directors building in London about 10 years ago. And he said, in 10 years' time, what is the worst thing that you think Huawei could actually be? And I said, a hardware company. That's it. So they've been building out a software stack and a kind of Apple-like vertical stack ever since. And on that note, if you want to see some of the work that I did for Huawei, as well as Samsung, on the future of devices, go to the 311institute.com website, go to the Insights section, which is where all my books are, and there's one called The Future of Smartphones, The Future of Smartphones and Smart Devices. And this is where I look up to the year 2070 at the future formats for smartphones and devices and everything else. In fact, some of the concepts that I came up with were so good that back in the day, Huawei said, "Can we buy those? Yeah, for like $5,000." And it's like, no. Anyway, yeah. So yeah, that's a whole other story. Nuts. Photosynthesizing hamsters. So about 7 years ago, NASA was toying with the idea of creating photosynthesizing humans. Now, the reason for that is when you think about deep space missions, it's very difficult to take a cow along or a bioreactor that you can make burgers or a vertical farm into deep space. So NASA sort of started thinking, well, if we are sending humans into deep space, how do we feed them? And there's a lot of light in deep space, comparatively. I'm not going to have a conversation about that. There's a lot of dark as well. So NASA started toying around with the idea of creating photosynthesizing designer humans who could create a lot of their sort of essential proteins and so on and so forth from sunlight. Fast forward, and this hamster has a new name. It is not an animal. It is being called a planimal. So what the researchers did is they used genetic engineering to merge plant chloroplasts with animal cells to create a hamster that photosynthesizes and gets some of its energy from sunlight. So we now have the development of planimals, which is obviously the merging of the word plant with animal. I told you science fiction was dead, and you hopefully believed me. Now, talking about other weirdness, someone created 1,000 artificial intelligence agents, put them into a Minecraft world, and just said, get on with it. It was like SimCity for artificial intelligence agents. These artificial intelligence agents, as it turned out, started cooperating, started colluding, and all that kind of stuff. They created their own human-like civilization. So they created their own religion, which is nice. They created buildings and structures and everything else, which is nice. They also created their own tax system, which, I mean, why the hell would you even do that? So, and they even created their own culture. So increasingly what we're finding out is that artificial intelligence itself, as well as agents, not only exhibit human-like behaviors, but are actually literally creating their own proto-cultures. And you want to put this stuff in your business without having a proper conversation with a futurist like me? Well, good luck to you. I look forward basically to your artificial intelligences creating a new tax system for your company and then rolling it out whether you like it or not. It's just weird. Then we've got Boston Dynamics. So Boston Dynamics have been creating humanoid robots for what, 15 years, 20 years, something like that. The new Atlas robot is now at the point where not only is it principally electric, as opposed to using sort of traditional actuators and everything else, but it's actually really good at stacking shelves. So increasingly, the purpose of creating humanoid robots is to try to replace physical human workers in blue collar jobs. And these robots are actually getting increasingly good. We see the Figure robot from Figure being used at BMW, and normally you'd have people loading plates to do chassis stamping, and increasingly the robots are doing them. And with a hardware or with a software update, all of a sudden, in Figure's case, the robots are 4 times more efficient. So the humanoid robots are coming for human workers' jobs, and then we've got AIs coming for human cognitive jobs. I don't know. Maybe I should start running adverts basically on this channel. Just saying. And then finally, artificial intelligence over at ING. ING is kind of like an investment house. They are one of the global firms, generally well regarded, well known, and everything else. They created an artificial intelligence. They asked it to price currencies, which is something that bankers obviously like doing. And the AI, in ING's own words, was better at pricing currencies than their human employees. So, yeah, sucks to be an ING price currency analyst. I don't know. I don't even know what job title that would have. Maybe someone can tell me. And anyway, that's it. Those are the 12 news stories basically from this week. I say this week, from these past 2 weeks, roughly. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you don't have nightmares basically over the planimal. And like and subscribe and share. Thank you very much. Take care. See you later, guys. Bye.